Welcome to Anatomy of Dead by Daylight, a series where we explore the fundamentals of Dead by Daylight's gameplay and how it manages to stay fresh and fun. In the horror-filled world of Dead by Daylight, the difference between hiding and running can change the outcome of a match. This is what we'll refer to as pacing. The pacing of each match is entirely up to 5 random factors, 4 survivors, and 1 killer. And this isn't to say that the map, the procedural generation of said map, items, and effects don't also change the outcome, but it's that the nature of free will forever keep us guessing what's next. In this episode of Anatomy of Dead by Daylight, we're going to explore the ideas of communication and how players have created their own language within the Dead by Daylight universe. And to first explore this idea of language, let's take a step back. The year is 2012. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim reigns supreme as the most downloaded game of the previous year. Uncharted 3 is Sony's big sequel hit, and indie games such as Bastion are ranked alongside AAA titles such as Rockstar's L.A. Noire. But one game stands amongst them as the game of the year: Journey. On March 13th, 2012, that game company released Journey on the PlayStation Store, and here is where the journey began. No pun intended. Players would begin the game just as any other, lost with no clear objective. Perhaps they'd sand surf down a hill, collect some scarf pieces, but one thing's for sure: an encounter would change everything. While exploring, many of us happened upon another creature just like us, and we stopped searching for an objective and began exploring the creature instead. Is this an NPC? Is this another player? Is this actually another player? We'd make a noise back. We'd jump. They'd repeat, following our every movement and acknowledging us with a noise. They might even make a noise, turn their back and sprint for a moment, then turn back. Would you follow? Instinctively, we understand the follow command without ever having prior experience with this game. Communication is a vital part of our waking lives as well. So to use language in such a limited and unique way is incredible. And Dead by Daylight captures this imaginative communication to express thought as well. However, unlike Journey's limitations, Dead by Daylight gives users access to parties, the use of a microphone, and chat in a lobby. And of course, let's not forget, survivors are gifted with 2 separate emotes, the beckon and the point, as a means of communication. But the implications could be endless. This is what makes the language of Dead by Daylight different than any other game. By paying attention to the world around you, you will begin to understand. For an example, let's examine a scene where a survivor uses the crouch function to rapidly duck in succession in the killer's presence. Now I know what you're thinking. Yeah, he's teabagging. And in a sense he is. The act of a teabag is definitely present in the instance, but what's the implication? This is a disrespectful action, one in which wouldn't be mistaken for kinship, right? Well, no. Let's switch the scene up. 2 survivors meet up for a moment and begin to teabag rapidly. Now are they exclaiming disdain for one another? No. That wouldn't make any sense. These players are acknowledging one another and saying hello. It's a sign of kinship and camaraderie, a call to a brother in arms. How can this one action mean so much, though? Context. Context is everything, and context is defined as the circumstances that form the setting for an event, statement, or idea, and in terms of which it can be fully understood and assessed. With your understanding of mechanics, perks, items, and context through limited interaction, it becomes increasingly viable. Just watch as this player is alerted to heal me as I teabag him while he's working on a generator. This player understands I'm not saying hello. I'm not disrespecting him. I am asking for help. And with this help received, I was able to tell him about an item that could potentially help him by the beckon and point technique. The player understood I wasn't pointing in the killer's direction. But had we been working on this generator and I booked it, he would have most likely ran, believing I'm signaling that the killer is inbound. Maybe I knew something he didn't know. The language of Dead by Daylight isn't limited to just survivors either. Killers have aptly shown that they are capable of engaging in more than just slaughter. Have you ever seen a killer finally hit that last survivor only to pick him up and drop him by the hatch? We can surmise that this most likely means, good game, you've earned this. As a linguist, I enjoy studying the behaviors and patterns of both survivors and killer interaction, and I've made friends on Dead by Daylight without ever having spoken an actual word to them outside of a match. And with your help, I'd like to add a new phrase to the vernacular of Dead by Daylight. When hooked, tap the struggle button 2 times to signal if the killer is still nearby so that an unsuspecting survivor doesn't get snagged. If the coast is clear, after a moment, tap once then stop. In my opinion, this would work very well on characters like the Hag, the Wraith, Michael, and even Freddy, who don't necessarily trigger the killer radius. In this series of Anatomy of Dead by Daylight, I am going to be exploring different game design elements that make this game so unique. Now in the comments below, let me know what you'd like to explore next: survivor and killer backstories, or the lore behind the entity. And just quickly, I'd like to thank you all for the support. I wouldn't be here without you. We're going to be doing a giveaway at 500 subscribers, so make sure to be a part of the growing community by subbing and leaving as many comments as you can so I know you're out there. Thanks guys, and take care.